Hi, it's Molly. Welcome back to my YouTube channel as we're going to discuss Saturn conjunct Neptune in Aries, which occurs twice. The first time at 1 degrees in August 2025, that's what you're looking at here, and the second time at 0 degrees of Aries in February 2026. Now, what's important to note is that both planets go back into Pisces and then return to Aries. So there will be false starts. There will be things that don't take off, that don't move forward between August and February, between these dates, because there is still a preparation underway before the new beginnings really gain traction and move forward. So let's break this down here, where this conjunction is very fascinating for many reasons. Neptune is the stronger energy. Neptune enters Aries for the first time since it was last in Aries 1861 to 1875. And back then, during those years in the 19th century, the American Civil War started right as Neptune went into Aries. Now, I'm not going to focus on war, but we do have to mention that because of the Aries energy. Now, Neptune in Aries actually begins a new 165-year cycle. So consider the fact that not only is it beginning a new 165-year cycle, it's ending one as well, especially as both planets, Saturn tagging along here, going back into Pisces, show us that 2025, 2026, there are endings that are occurring as beginnings start. And this new 165-year cycle is bringing up some very big things to understand around this Aries sense of self, the individual. And Neptune is associated with transmutation, dissolving, understanding the bigger picture of what we're learning spiritually. But Neptune has loss, has sacrifice. Neptune is how we are working with the energetics that we don't see but that we feel. So as Neptune moves back and forth and completes its time in Pisces, there's things we're finally going to realize that we couldn't see or couldn't fully grasp as Neptune was in Pisces. Then it moves here into Aries, and we are really bringing up some bigger questions about who am I now? How do I identify as an individual? What does that even mean to me at this point? And there could be a sense of wanting to know who you are or know what that means for you. And the answers come in and come out. They don't fully land or don't fully stick. This Neptune can also show up as how the Aries individual sacrifices itself for others. It can be feeling like, well, what is worth fighting for? What is important to me? And with the Neptune energy, we always have to go higher, and it's the 5D. And so it's bringing that energy into understanding yourself as this huge energy vessel, as a big, bright, limitless soul essence, experiencing this moment in time on this planet, experiencing the physical world, but now traveling with more of your spiritual mastery and spiritual self. So I feel like as this Neptune is in Aries, by the way, after re-enters Aries in 2026, it stays there until 2039. 2039. And so here we are basically moving forward, navigating this new world with more of our spiritual mastery, our intuition, understanding our own energetics, being more aware of what we can trust and feel, especially as it goes right into that root chakra. Aries is very primal. It's fight or flight. What is worth fighting for? What also has been reprogrammed in the fight or flight nervous system energies. And what does that look like now? So big questions around the individual. Being a spiritual human. What does that even mean? How do you use that? How do you live from that place? How do you act? How do you take action from a spiritual root chakra? So those would be some bigger things that we will be playing with and working with. Now, the conjunction with Saturn. Saturn in Aries is a strong leader, but Saturn is cautious. It assesses a risk. It is calculating. It's determining what's worth saying yes to. Saturn in Aries can be very strong, clear, really knowing who you are. Saturn is your backbone, standing strong in that sense of self, understanding what you're capable of. But that energy isn't going to be strongly felt when Saturn is conjunct Neptune. Neptune dissolves this Saturn energy, and Saturn is the 3D. So here we have 3D, 5D convergence zone in Aries, the very beginning of the zodiac, no less, bringing up bigger questions that won't be answered right away. So as these two are conjunct, especially during these two time periods, Neptune is stronger, overpowers the Saturn. This is where it could be hard to stand up for yourself. So you've got this Saturn telling you to be clear in what you want, stand up for it, and then the Neptune energy can be like, but it's futile. What does it matter? Is it worth it? And so what happens is as Saturn moves forward, as Saturn moves ahead and separates from this Neptune after February 2026, that separation will then allow Saturn to become stronger in Aries. So basically this is going to be a time period of some bigger questions, but also understanding that you're not maybe going to feel like yourself or feel as strong until Saturn moves ahead. Now, what's interesting about Saturn is that if you followed astrology for a while, you know that Saturn has been on quite a journey, especially in recent years. So we go back to January 2020 when Saturn was conjunct Pluto. That was very big. That was a very important time in our planet, in what was broken down, removed, and how that's taken years to play out. So Saturn was conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. Then Saturn was conjunct Jupiter in the early degrees of Aquarius. We called it the Great Conjunction. And now Saturn is conjunct Neptune. So this Saturn has been in conversation directly with Pluto and Jupiter. And then, of course, we had Saturn squaring Uranus as well. That was about 4 times, 2021 into 2022. So this Saturn is restructuring our lives. And with this Neptune influence, there is more that is removed. This is whenever you have strong Neptune, we look at escapism. and how we're able to handle the reality of life. So this could be understanding where you go when things are tough or difficult and you don't have the answers right away, how you take care of your nervous system, where you seek power and strength internally. And this can be healthy and unhealthy. This also brings up matters of health, especially as both of these planets go back into Pisces. A health crisis. Other energies that feel like they are weakening the physical self. But then in Aries, it's gaining strength to keep going for the next chapter, the new starts. This is also where our higher self, our spiritual understandings are providing some downloads into Saturn in order to understand what is true for you now. Saturn is also associated with timing. And so there's some things that you maybe feel it's not the right time. And again, once Saturn moves ahead and pulls away from this Neptune, and once Saturn gets to 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees of Aries and beyond, then Saturn gets stronger. So these are going to be big time periods for these themes. It's also going to be a time to look at how you are perhaps being hard on yourself or having certain self-expectations that maybe aren't realistic at this time. Now, because this is the start of a very strong new cycle, I mean, this is the very beginning of the astrological wheel. There's going to be new beginnings that you're ready for, but this is going to be a time to put energy into visualizing them, working with them energetically. If they aren't showing up just yet in the physical, this is where I'm feeling some intentional, energetic reprogramming here that could also feel taxing and tiring at times. Because this is happening at the very beginning of the zodiac, this is where the seeds of intention are planted. And I feel like it's very important to couple that with your physical reality and your spiritual energy. And so this can be a time of idealizing where you want your life to go next. And in this series of videos that I'm doing for you about this Renaissance, this age of Aquarius, Renaissance energy, these planets are getting support from Uranus, and they're also working with Pluto. So they're not working on their own, but this is a very important anchoring point of energies in your sense of identity. And it could be like you feel very different, you feel very new. In fact, that's also what will be showing up on the planet. And I'm feeling too like we have some big questions to ask ourselves individually and collectively about what's worth fighting for. Where is this going? What's the payoff? Is this what I want? And those are the Saturn in Aries questions. Is this correct for me? Is this right for me? And there could be some things like you got to just put it on the back burner and wait. I feel like there's also something here very powerful around collective energies and what we do for others. Is it still working for you? Is it still true for you? This is going to be people ready for new starts in their life. Moving into some new areas. Now, in your personal chart, you would want to identify where you have 0 and 1 degrees of Aries by house. So here we have it in the 8th house. Whatever house you have 0 and 1 degrees of Aries, is this beginning point for you that's going to probably be confusing at first. It's not going to feel real. And again, you might not know what to do. But I feel like this is where Spirit could be giving you some new downloads, especially in your dream state. Pay attention to the visuals you're getting, the imagery, the inspirations, the vision. Pay attention to what is lighting you up, what's getting you motivated, where your energy rises. And then chances are Saturn will put on the brakes and say it's not time. But sit with it. Write it down, document it. There can be a churning, there can be even a sense of, this can feel like, what am I supposed to do? Because Aries is a doer. Aries is like, let's go. Why aren't we moving? And these are the energies that actually slow down Aries. And so there could be this sense of, what am I going to do with this energy that I'm feeling? And that will be part of what we have to individually figure out or sit with, harness it, use it in a healthy way. Again, the Neptune energy, escapism, that can be addictions. That can be any form of escapism where you're like, I don't know what to deal with this. And it can, I'm just feeling like, don't turn on yourself. Instead, go higher. Go higher into this openness, the openness of Neptune. And that's actually how I see the top of the glyph. I see the glyph as taking us from the earth up higher, and it opens up. The energy opens up. Like the energy could be blocked below, but it opens up here. And so going higher into the next dream, the next vision, the next tangible reality that you want is a strength of this conjunction, where it will take time, energy, and effort to build it and develop it, especially if it has your name on it, which is Aries. It's correct for you. It matches your frequency. It matches your life path. It matches, what you're here to experience on the planet. There is always a seriousness, though, with Saturn involved. And there could be some things that you're doing it on your own. Saturn in Aries is independent. It is a leader. It is about standing strong in your sense of self, as long as you know who you are. And so there is energy here that I feel is going to be confusing at first. There's also a sense of feeling like you could go back and forth between these archetypes, where one day you feel very Saturn and the next you feel very Neptunian. So you could have that archetypal dance internally within yourself. And actually that's important to note, because in fact, you are all of these energies. You are all of these archetypes within. And here is the Aries energy asking you to be very intentional about what you want to move forward with next. And this Saturn slows down the impulsivity of Aries. It gives you time to consider, to sit with it. Perhaps it's through those dream state messages or a meditation that you get the answers and the clarity. And again, remember, these energies will be working with Uranus. So I have other videos for you describing this Age of Aquarius Renaissance as I'm describing it on a playlist here on YouTube. But Saturn is the faster moving, so Saturn moves ahead. But at this time in this chart, which is for August 2025, this Saturn is receiving energy from Uranus at 1 degrees of Gemini, creating a sextile to both planets here. And so Uranus is actually giving Saturn some brand new ideas to play with and consider, to open up, stay flexible, go into other ways of doing things. Uranus is giving Saturn information to work with. And so this could feel like inside of you, there's a lot of sparks. But which one is going to last? Which one is going to gain traction and move ahead? And that's part of what Saturn in Aries determines. But it could be difficult while Saturn is still conjunct this Neptune. And that's because of how Neptune removes. And this Neptune in Saturn is going to bring up bigger questions on the planet about the rights of individuals, individual sovereignty. Is that over? Is that lost? Is that real? This can also be energies that actually really show up through leaders, individual leaders on the planet. This would be loss of leadership, leaders being overthrown, losing their credibility, losing their titles. This is also not seeing leaders correctly. That's all the Neptunian influence. So this new cycle begins, and there can be confusion. There's a cautiousness with Saturn. You could feel a start-stop in what you want to begin or initiate. And again, I do feel the energy becomes clearer and stronger after February 2026. So further into 2026, the Saturn gains strength and he knows what he's going to do. But first, he's having some kind of spiritual awakening. And part of the awakening is to be different, is to move forward in a new way than maybe you have before. This can also be starting something brand new in your life. Feeling inspired to do so, but I just keep seeing like this Neptune conjunct Saturn, it just has confusion. It's sort of like this idealization where you could miss out on some very important information or facts. But overall, this conjunction is also going to help us anchor in to being more spiritually evolved humans, especially individually, and to look at where you need to take care of your energy and what is for your best and highest good without sacrificing your energy. And Aries being what we fight for, what we want, what we go for. Anger, impatience, but also inspired action and new creations, the new creations of our times that are hidden with that Neptune influence, that are hidden wars. the propaganda around agendas, wanting something to be straight and direct. Aries, give it to me straight. Neptune, probably not. Smoke and mirrors, mist and haze. Trust your intuition to guide you through the agendas and what you are perceiving. And yet I feel like this Saturn wants you to stay strong in your sense of self. Don't sacrifice yourself for something or others. I'm just getting your rights, your rights, whatever that means for you. Your right to exist, your right to be an individual, your right to be who you are, your right to be different. Again, as this Saturn pulls away from Neptune, Saturn in Aries gets stronger. So there could be things right now, like just maybe it's about not taking it all too seriously because you don't have all the information. Hidden motives as well. So I will be talking about this more as we move into 2025 and 2026. But this is an important conjunction. And it is something that works with collective energies. And there is a lot new here that we won't even really know or grasp or see until later in 2026. So, just some things to think about and be aware of, to understand more about the astrological energies at play. And of course, to be more conscious and intentional around your own energy and these new beginnings that will happen, that will take form and take shape, even amongst the confusion that comes with it. So thank you for your likes, your subscribes. Thanks for sharing. I hope this video helps you understand more about what you may be experiencing for yourself. And I'll be back with another video in this Age of Aquarius Renaissance series that I'm doing for you here on YouTube. You can find the playlist in my playlists. So thanks for being here. I'll see you back here soon.